You know, you only need to look around Port Townsend to see what a diverse community this is. From philosophies to social standing, from spirituality to ethnicity. We have a sampling of just about every kind of person there is. Well, for those of us whose sexual orientation or gender identity falls into the category of other than mainstream, we sometimes see all too clearly when the differences between people lead to social injustice, outright abuse, or simply neglect. Al Hernandez first began to develop his desire to help people as a young child observing the migrant workers in the crop fields of California. He experienced firsthand the conditions they worked under, and he wanted to find ways to help them. Later on in his life, when AIDS appeared on the scene, and the people that he knew and cared about were dying, he knew that he had a calling in life to help people who can't help themselves. I'm your host, Chris Hawley, and this is Out and About.
When I was in Texas, that's where I think I got my involvement with people living with AIDS. That's where it all started because I guess that was back in the late 80s and the heyday, and so it sparked my interest because friends had started getting sick and stuff, and so I just wanted to be part of the solution.
Were you involved in organizations down there? Or?
I knew people that were going to them, and so I went to support groups with friends, and the things they were doing for these people were wonderful because there was nothing. The disease was a mystery. It was frightening. The doctors were basically learning and playing it by ear, as were scientists, and so I started going with them, and it was just a wonderful experience.
When did you move up to this part of the country?
Moved up here in '97.
And it wasn't long after that you got involved with...
Right, with Jefferson AIDS Services, because I just felt the need to give back. It's part of, I feel, my responsibility and all our responsibility to take care of each other, and especially the poor and the needy. And people with AIDS, as far as I'm concerned, are amongst the most vulnerable.
What's changed in general in HIV care and treatment and support from when you started getting interested to the time you actually got involved up here in Jazz?
Well, when I first got involved with this group with friends, there were no pills. There was no so-called cocktail for people with AIDS to take, and there was I believe just one pill out called AZT, which was something doctors had pulled up from the 1950s, which was they used it for cancer patients, and because the demand for anything was so intense, they released the drugs to people with AIDS. But it was basically, it was not the thing. It was not the thing. It did help some people through, but it was very frustrating because the only thing you really had to offer people was hope and holistic and naturopathic, which helped many people live to the point where when the new cocktail did come in, that they did have something at that point that they can live with. But it was frightening because what normally happened is you would get diagnosed, and or if a friend had come up to you and said, well, I just got diagnosed with HIV, you knew they'd be dead within a year to 2 years max. And that's what basically happened with that first wave.
So now they've got all the different drugs and all the different combinations of drugs. Is it more your work or Jefferson Aid Services work is more a matter of funding and getting support to the people who need it?
Yeah, basically, I mean, we'd like to be all-encompassing, and but the magnitude of the disease and the way it changes, and for instance, right now we're dealing with we're happy to have pills that are helping people live longer, but the pills themselves are now doing more harm and causing people to die rather than the disease itself. And so it's very frustrating actually, because you never know where you're going to be. But what Jazz does is we're basically a shot in the arm for these people. I've walked into several of our clients' homes, and the way healthcare is in this country, and our the dedication or devotion to people who are sick, it's unfortunately it's very, I mean, it's wanting, and what we basically do is we raise money to help our clients along for whatever needs they have. There's not too many organizations a client can go to, or anybody can go to, and say, you know what, I have a sick pet. It's going to cost me $75 to get my pet fixed, but I don't have the money. This pet is my companion. I need help. And we write the check to the vet, take care of that. Their car breaks down. It's their only mode of transportation. Write a check for that. So we're basically giving financial support where they would not otherwise have it. Right. And as far as I know, we're probably one of the only organizations in the country, certainly AIDS organization, where a client can actually call and say, I need $100 for groceries, and we give it to them. I need a pair of shoes, we get it for them, or we steer them to where they can. And for a lot of people, that's really a matter of whether they're going to have heat in the wintertime or they're going to be in a cold house. We had one client that went 2 months without electricity. I mean, well, not electricity, but without heat. And when he called us, we were actually pretty shocked that he had gone that long. And we got him the help he needed. So we're basically a lifeline for people, and to access finances that they otherwise can't find. Part of why I got into jazz is because I was going to do one of two things. I was going to either get into ACT UP, because I really wanted to be in the forefront of helping gay people get access to political power and clout and influence and all that stuff. And then the AIDS crisis came on, and I felt that it was more important to help. I mean, life was tough enough, for gay people to be accepted into a society. Well, imagine being gay and having AIDS. I mean, these people really had it the hardest. They were being thrown out of their homes when it first happened, when the so-called plague first happened. People were literally throwing all their belongings out in the street and have nothing to. They had nowhere to go. These people were frightened. They were sick. And then I realized, those are the people that need help right now. I mean, one thing is to fight for a job, but it's another thing to be fighting for your existence at all.
But I assume that a lot of the assistance you give by being involved in Jefferson Aid Service isn't just distribution of money or funds or services. It's being aware of the political climate, what direction healthcare is facing.
Yeah. And
because you're very political.
well, Jefferson Aid Services tries not to be political, but it's impossible not to be. When the administration starts cutting help for funds for housing and urban development, they're cutting funds to our clients. When they pursue policies that encourage gas prices to go through the roof, or they flat fund Ryan White, and it has been funded fully all the way up till the current administration got in office, and it had been flat funded since. Well, when you flat fund something, when there's more people coming into the program, or when prices keep going up for this or that service, you haven't. What you've really done is you've cut it. If everything stayed the same, then flat funding would still have been a cut because of people coming in. But things don't stay the same. Healthcare, prices of everything keeps going up, and you flat fund it. So we've gotten to a point where we've got clients who are heading into pretty desperate times, and so yeah, that you can't help but to get involved in the politics of it when the politics are manipulating and undermining our clients and hurting them.
Live in a world without tears, how a misery knows which back door to walk through, how a trouble knows which
The average client's medical cost, so this is just for the pills that keeps them alive, it's about $1,500 a month.
That's only
for
maybe
these
3 or
pills.
4 drugs, or
3 or 4 or 5 drugs.
Yeah.
You can get the same drugs at Canada, a whole month supply, probably for about $200. Fortunately, we do have programs in place that pay for client insurance. A lot of clients are on Medicare, and they pay that they pay for the pills, and the state Evergreen and age-restricted drug program and all this. So there are those programs for the client. Though in some states there's actually waiting lists. People are actually waiting for the life-sustaining drugs in this country right now. I don't know about you, but that's neither, that's hardly compassionate to me. You only need to walk into one of these clients' houses, and they see you, they see the hope. When they see you, there's hope. Some of these people have absolutely no one, and it's a very scary thing to see your body changing and see sores developing and seeing all these things happening to your body, which is part of what happens when you're HIV positive, particularly if you have AIDS. Or what these pills are doing to you, and it's always changing. So it's always something new, and it's frightening. And it's hard. How do you turn your back on this? How do you ignore it? How do you ignore it? If I mean, that's what we're here for. I think is we're here to take care of each other, and I just don't think I can sleep at night. Knowing that there's these people out there hurting and I'm not doing anything about it. So this, for me, it's just kind of like, it's my own therapy, it's my own selfishness, but I need to know that I'm doing something.